14 minutes to 9 o'clock, and it's a Wednesday. So, you know what's going to be going on? It's another edition of Agrobuzz. According to the International Trade Center, 35% of newly established exporting small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, are more vulnerable to non-tariff barriers. So all of this jargon we have to understand as we get a full view of what's happening in the sector. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, and working with other agencies and the private sector, is working to make it easier for exporting SMEs to report non-tariff barriers, NTBs, and find solutions to these problems with the establishment of what we have called an ATEAM. The ATEAM is the Agriculture Trade Enforcement Advisory Mechanism. Oh my gosh. So, here to tell us more about the ATEAM is Mr. Dennis Crawford, and he's trade specialist at the ministry. Good morning, Mr. Crawford. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning to you and your listeners.
Okay, it's great to have you. We like the acronym ATEAM. We understand what the letters stand for, Agriculture Trade Enforcement Advisory Mechanism. But really and truly, what is the ATEAM, sir?
The ATEAM is basically a government and business partnership to remove non-tariff barriers, or in other words, unjustifiable trade restrictions hampering our export. For example, these can include stringent rules or regulations or discriminatory regulations that are legally set by the government of the importing, exporting, or transit country.
Like and what?
So, for example, cumbersome customs administrative procedure for exports. That is one. Quotas. A quota is a quantitative restriction and the amount that can be exported or imported. So there are various forms of non-tariff barriers. But just to give you the meaning of a non-tariff barrier, a non-tariff barrier is any policy measure other than a customs duty that can have a significant impact on export of goods and services. So it's any measure other than a customs duty that countries use to protect their domestic market.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, companies have a right to have any kind of rules they want to have to protect their market and to not just protect the market but their industries as well. Why did we need an ATEAM?
That's a very important question. Based on WTO agreement, as you rightly said, countries have the right to put measures in place to protect human, animal, or plant life, just as we do in Jamaica. But the problem is that many of these measures can become barriers to trade if they are unclear or if they exceed what is necessary to achieve the desired objective, or they use as disguised protectionist measures. Based on the trend internationally, what we found out is that globally there has been a reduction in the use of tariffs for protection. Mm-hmm. Correspondingly, there has been an increase in the use of other trade policy tools by governments to protect their domestic market.
Okay. Now, what are you hoping will happen with the ATEAM? You can't force a country to not have a rule. So what exactly is supposed to happen with the ATEAM?
So based on WTO rule, if you are putting a rule in place, it must be based on sufficient scientific evidence, mm-hmm. and that rule should not be maintained without sufficient scientific evidence. Also, as I said before, once the rule is not discriminatory, right, there's no problem with the rule. For most of our SMEs, because they have limited resources, they are not aware of these rules. And compared to the larger counterparts, like the larger firms who can, for example, hire a trade lawyer or a trade expert to address some of these rules. So the role of the ATEAM is to help firms, especially our small SMEs, to develop solutions or to find solutions or to guide some of these SMEs. Mm-hmm. And this will be accomplished through our online platform where firms can voluntarily and confidentially report non-tariff barriers and find solutions. And very importantly,
go on, I was going to ask for more details. How do we report those?
Well, you can visit the Ministry's Customer Affairs platform, which is the Ministry of Agriculture platform, and report these non-tariff barriers. So you can tell us about the barrier, the country in which you face the barrier, among other things.
Okay.
But just another note, another important function of the ATEAM is to provide the business community with market intelligence. So it's just not about addressing non-tariff barriers. So for example, we have the opportunity for market diversification. What are the products with the greatest export potential from Jamaica to the world?
So the information coming in will help us to have a more comprehensive picture and help us to help each other as we work on improving that industry.
Definitely. And just to know that given the cross-cutting nature of trade, we believe that a multidisciplinary approach is both effective and efficient in terms of addressing some of these non-tariff barriers.
Okay. Well, this certainly is a basis on which we can build that database of information and strengthen our impact in the export market. Thank you.
And definitely, what we, in terms of our objective, definitely would like to increase market penetration for Jamaican products, especially at the regional level. And we believe that government and industry play important roles in eliminating non-tariff barriers. So, for example, this is the best place to explain the impact of a non-tariff barrier. On the other hand, certain specific concerns may require the input of the government to liaise with our foreign counterparts in resolving some of these non-tariff barriers.
Understood and agreed, sir.
Yes,
Thank you for sharing with us this morning, Mr. Crawford.
Indeed, a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Folks, there you have it. Mr. Dennis Crawford, International Trade Specialist at the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, speaking about the Agriculture Trade Enforcement Advisory Mechanism, ATEAM. Did you know that according to the International Trade Center Export Potential Map, Jamaica's roots and tubers are among products with the greatest export potential? That's a potential of $54.7 million US, and our actual exports are only $30.5 million. So, food for thought and maybe a place for investment. Let's continue to support our farmers as we say yes to fresh and eat what we grow and grow what we eat. For information on what's happening in the agricultural and agro-industry sector, visit the ministry's website at moa.gov.jm. Follow them on Facebook at Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. Check them out on Twitter and Instagram at MOAFJM. Oh, next week, Wednesday, another edition of Agrobuzz.